She is the first Black woman to hit #1 on the New York Times Young Adult bestseller list. And 2 of her novels were adapted into Hollywood films. So you know she has to be Jamaican born, right? Best-selling author Nicola Yoon joins us by Zoom from Los Angeles. Hey, Nicola, how are you doing?
I am okay. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Happy International Women's Day. I am so excited by your achievement. I can't imagine how you feel to know that you've accomplished so much. Selling millions of copies, have your work been adapted to film. How does that make you feel?
You know, some days, most days, I still don't really believe it. I just sort of plow ahead. Like I sit in my office and keep my head down and just write.
Wow.
I can't think about it too much, otherwise it feels overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's the best thing, right? I mean, it's people read your books, people read the ideas that you want to put into the world, and that is the greatest achievement for me because it's always been my dream to write books.
Wow. So tell me about, so I'm going to talk about your first 2, Everything, and The Sun is Also a Star. For folks who are watching, just give me a little synopsis of what they're about.
All right, so they're love stories. Everything is about a girl who's 17. Her name is Maddie. She's been stuck in her house for her entire life. And then because she's sick, and then one day, like a cute boy moves in next door and changes her whole life because cute boys always change everything.
Yeah.
So that was the first one, and that came out in 2015.
Yeah.
And then my second one is called The Sun is Also a Star. And it's about a boy who is a poet, and he's trying to convince a Jamaican American girl who's very science oriented and practical to fall in love with him over the course of 12 hours in New York City. And the reason he only has 12 hours is because her family is set to be deported. And that one came out in 2016.
And let me tell you, we are looking at images from both films. I'm not kidding, folks. These are, did you see the MGM a while ago in that film? Did you see the stars in the film? Big things. Your husband's also an author, David. How does that work in your household? Do you guys edit each other's work? Do you say, David, don't look at my work? How does it work?
No, so we met in graduate school back in the year 1800. And the way we know each other is that we write for each other and not together, but he sees my work in like the worst form, right? So he sees the very first draft. He's the one I agonize to when I don't have any good ideas or when I think the thing that I'm working on is terrible. And I do the same for him, right? So we talk about story and work on story together all the time. Excellent.
Lots of love poured in it. And that's why it gets so much love from the readers. So you have a daughter, Penny. Sometimes when both parents are in a field, naturally the child gravitates toward that, or she says, my parents are writers, I don't want to have a thing to do with it. Is Penny a budding writer?
I mean, if Penny turns out to be anything but a writer, I will be shocked. Because this child, let me tell you, story on the brain all the time.
Wow.
She's ahead in a book, which was me. And she's always talking about, what about this idea? What about this idea? So she's doomed. I'm sorry to say.
I don't think it's doomed because you're making it work. So this is what I find interesting, Nicola, because a lot of times when people see creatives, they don't connect creatives with certain types of areas. And I tell them all the time, creative people are very intelligent. You were in finance.
I was in finance for 20 years.
20 years, how did we move from numbers to letters?
I honestly think that most people are good at both numbers and letters, except you get like sort of shunted into like different areas when you're younger. Yeah. But I think most people's brains are actually pretty good at both. I was really good at math in high school. I don't know why. And it led me astray for a long time. But I always wanted to write. I found my old diary a few years ago, and in it at 8, I said I want to be a writer when I grow up. That I forgot for a number of years until college when I took a writing workshop. And I wanted to do it. So I kept working while I worked on my big dream, which was to write books.
Wow. That's something awesome for everyone who's listening. You know, I tell them when you see math as words, when you you can master it anytime. And I think that's what you've done. You spent your early years here. Yeah, did you not?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So where you come from? Where you from out here, Nicola? Talk to me.
So I was born in Kingston, but then I grew up in Montego Bay.
Ah, you're a Western girl. What was that like for you in the transition, moving to the States?
Oh God. The transition was hard because obviously I missed my family, I missed my friends, but also in America, everything was just different, right? Everyone has an accent and they spell things wrong. And it was a hard transition. I remember I spelled favorite with the U on one of my first spelling tests and I got it marked wrong.
Yeah.
And I was like, write about this. So I went home and got my dictionary out and brought it back to school because I was such a little nerd and got my points back.
Oh my! Yeah, so this is the non-American spelling. We use the U. All right, girl. So tell me, yeah. So what's next? What's next? I mean, how much pressure is it when it does so well? I know the publishers, the editors are probably saying, "Oh, we want like 5 more." What's next?
Well, my third book, Instructions for Dancing, that has been optioned for film as well. Wow. So there's some things cooking there. I have an adult book coming out next year in the summer. And I mean, as for the pressure, I mean, it took a long time to get used to. So what happens is you get all this pressure in your head and it's your own voices in your head. And it just takes a while to put them aside and focus on the work, right? Yeah. Because the work is the thing that counts. So it's the thing that makes me happiest. So I'm pretty good now at like ignoring the pressure and working.
Yeah. Were you always in LA or because of the success of what you're doing, you just decided to move closer to where it's all happening?
Oh God, no, I was in Boston and New York for a long time, but I met my husband in Boston and he's from LA and he's like, we have to leave this cold weather. We need to move. Honey, let's go. And so we left.
It's such an honor to meet you. I mean, before I said you have one of those faces, I feel like we've known each other all the time. It's that Jamaican warmth. Congratulations to you, man. I look forward to seeing so much more from you in the future.
You are lovely. Thank you so much. And thanks for having me.
Awesome. Listen, she's Jamaican. New York Times best-selling author, Nicola Yoon. Nicey? Up next, up next, he said, she said, but once again, here's Person of Interest with Grow to take us to the break.